Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're tackling something I think resonates with just about everyone in our constantly buzzing world: how to actually focus.
That's a big one.
It really is. We've pulled together a really interesting mix of perspectives for you. We've got insights from Cal Newport's foundational book, Deep Work: Rules for Focused Success in a Distracted World.
A classic.
Definitely. And Felix Riven's more recent take in The Art of Deep Focus, plus a helpful blog post summarizing Newport's core ideas, and a practical LinkedIn article from Amanda Aldrich looking at focus specifically, you know, in the tech industry.
Right, so different angles on the same problem.
Exactly. Our goal today is to sort of cut through the noise and extract the most useful strategies to help you sharpen your concentration and really dig into what matters.
Absolutely. It feels like we're all swimming in a sea of notifications and distractions, so understanding how to cultivate that deep, sustained attention is, well, it's more critical than ever.
It really is.
And these sources offer a range of approaches, and it's fascinating to see the common threads and the unique angles, too.
So let's start by looking at why this ability to focus deeply, what Cal Newport calls deep work, why it's so crucial in the first place.
Okay.
His book, which came out, 2016, it really highlighted that in our current economy, being able to concentrate without interruption on demanding tasks is almost like a superpower.
Yeah, he really frames it that way.
It allows you to learn faster and produce really high quality.
I think it's precisely because the environment has become so saturated with distractions.
Right.
As Newport points out, and Amanda Aldrich's 2025 LinkedIn article really reinforces this kind of focused attention is becoming increasingly rare. Aldrich shares a pretty striking statistic. The average developer might face dozens of interruptions daily.
Dozens. Wow.
Yeah, and each one can take like 5 to 20 minutes to recover from. That's not just a minor annoyance. It's a massive drain on cognitive resources.
20 minutes each time. That adds up incredibly quickly. It's almost counterintuitive, isn't it?
How so?
Well, we have all these incredible technologies designed to make us more efficient, yet Aparna Sinha's blog post from May 2024, the one summarizing deep work, emphasizes that these very tools, our smartphones, email, social media, are often the biggest culprits.
Yeah. The irony.
They're fracturing our attention. It's like we've built this amazing highway system, but then spend all our time stuck in digital traffic.
Exactly. A perfect analogy. And this is where Newport's distinction between deep work and shallow work becomes so important.
Okay, tell us about that.
So shallow work is that logistical administrative stuff, answering emails, scheduling meetings, tasks that you can do while being distracted, or semi-distracted at least.
Right, the busy work sometimes.
Kind of. It's necessary, to keep things ticking over, but it doesn't really move the needle in terms of significant output or long-term value creation. And crucially, it's easily replicated by others. Doesn't require unique skill.
Right. The blog post we looked at really clarified this for me. It's like you can spend your whole day answering emails and feel busy, maybe even productive.
That illusion of productivity.
Exactly. But at the end of the day, have you actually accomplished anything that required real concentration or contributed to those bigger goals? It's like mistaking activity for progress.
Precisely. So the million-dollar question then becomes, how do we actually carve out space for this deep work? How do we cultivate those habits?
Yeah, the how-to.
And our sources offer, really, a wealth of practical strategies. Newport stresses the importance of making deep work a regular ritual, scheduling specific blocks of time.
Like time blocking, basically.
Exactly. And Aldrich builds on this by suggesting we create what she calls focus contexts, using consistent cues to signal to our brains that it's time to focus.
Okay, cues. What kind of cues are we talking about here?
She gives some great examples, like using specific headphones,
Okay.
working in a particular location, or even having a short pre-focus ritual. She even mentions a 2-minute dance party.
Huh. A dance party. I like that.
It sounds a bit quirky, maybe, but the idea of creating a clear trigger for your brain to switch into focus mode, it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, it's like Pavlov's dogs, but for productivity. Ring the bell, time to focus.
That's a fun analogy.
Yeah.
And the blog post related to the art of deep focus also emphasizes the power of a dedicated workspace.
Right. Having that spot.
Yeah, having a specific area that's just for focused work can really help train your brain to associate that space with concentration, almost like putting on a different hat.
And a recurring theme across all these sources, whether it's Newport or Riven, is the need to manage distractions, especially the digital ones.
The big one.
Oh, yeah. This means being really intentional about when we check email and social media, turning off those endless notifications,
The
and
notifications.
even using apps designed to block distractions.
Mhm.
Aldrich mentions one called Be Present. Have you found those kinds of tools helpful?
They can be, yeah. Especially when you're just starting out, trying to build those deep work muscles. They can be like training wheels.
Makes sense.
Newport even talks about some pretty extreme examples, like
Hmm.
people completely disconnecting from email for days or even weeks.
Wow. That seems ambitious for most people.
Right. It might not be realistic for everyone, but it certainly highlights the level of focus he believes is necessary for truly deep work.
But it's not just about external distractions, is it?
No, definitely not.
Our own internal urge for constant stimulation can be just as disruptive.
Absolutely. The blog post summarizing Newport touches on this with the idea of embracing boredom.
Ooh, that's interesting. Tell me more.
Well, we've become so accustomed to constant stimulation. If there's a quiet moment, we immediately reach for our phones.
See?
Me too.
Yeah.
But resisting that urge and allowing ourselves to just be with our thoughts, even if it feels a bit uncomfortable, can actually strengthen our ability to focus when we need to.
So like building tolerance for quiet?
Kinda, yeah. Training that focus muscle even when you're not working. Exactly. Riven's book delves into the cognitive science a bit here, highlighting the well-established fact that our brains aren't really wired for multitasking. Not truly.
Right, the multitasking myth.
Yeah. When we try to do multiple things at once, we're actually just rapidly switching our attention, which is less efficient and leads to poorer quality work.
Well,
Monotasking, dedicating your full attention to a single task, is far more effective.
makes sense. And Riven also brings in this fascinating element of mindfulness. Being fully present in the moment to help tame that wandering mind and run it back to the task at hand.
So noticing when you drift off.
Exactly. He even introduces the Buddhist concept of one-pointedness, this idea of unifying all your mental energy on a single object to really enhance productivity. It sounds almost meditative.
It is, in a way. And rather than viewing distractions as enemies to be fought, the art of deep focus suggests a more gentle approach. Acknowledging them when they arise, those random thoughts, and then consciously redirecting your focus back to what you were doing, not beating yourself up about it.
I like that. Less stressful.
And Aldrich offers a very practical tip along these lines. Creating a parking lot for distracting thoughts. How does that work?
It's a great idea. Basically, when a random thought pops into your head that isn't related to your current task, oh, I need to buy milk or whatever.
Happens all the time.
Right. Instead of acting on it immediately and derailing your focus, you jot it down. Maybe in a notebook or a digital tool like Google Keep or Todoist.
Ah, so you capture it.
Yeah, you capture it so you know you can come back to it later. It's like telling your brain, okay, I see you. I'm not going to forget this, but right now we're doing this.
That's a really clever way to manage those mental interruptions without completely losing your train of thought. I like that. Now, what about taking breaks?
Yes. Breaks.
It can feel counterintuitive when you're trying to concentrate, but do our sources have anything to say about that?
They do. Riven, in particular, discusses the benefits of regular breaks. He mentions the Pomodoro technique.
Right, the timer method.
Yeah, those focused work intervals, usually 25 minutes, followed by short breaks, like 5 minutes.
Okay.
The idea is that these breaks allow your brain to recharge, preventing cognitive overload and actually improving your focus when you return to the task.
So it's not about pushing through relentlessly.
No, not at all. Aldrich even suggests incorporating Pomodoro-style breaks within longer, deep work sessions. Maybe work deeply for 50 minutes, take a 10-minute break, that sort of thing.
Flexible.
And it's not just about short breaks during work, is it? The art of deep focus also emphasizes the importance of broader self-care.
The fundamentals. Right?
Exactly. Getting enough sleep, eating well, exercising regularly, these are foundational for good cognitive function and the ability to maintain focus.
Absolutely. You can have all the focus techniques in the world, but if your brain is running on empty due to lack of sleep or poor nutrition,
Forget about it.
they're just not going to be as effective. Now, Newport also has some interesting thoughts, specifically on managing email to protect deep work time. What are some of his suggestions there?
He talks about things like being more comprehensive in your initial emails to reduce that back and forth.
Avoiding the endless chain.
Right.
Yeah.
He even suggests the idea of publishing an email policy so people know when to expect a response, managing expectations.
Interesting. Like office hours for email?
Kind of. He also argues that slowing down your response time can actually lead to more thoughtful and less frequent emails overall. It's about shifting away from that constant reactivity.
Resisting the urge to reply instantly.
Yeah, and to really prioritize deep work, several sources touch on the importance of learning to say no.
Oh, that's a hard one for many people.
Definitely. Saying no to meetings, other commitments that fall into that category of shallow work. It's about being protective of your time and consciously choosing where you direct your limited attention.
Guarding that focus time.
Exactly. Setting clear goals and even ambitious deadlines can also be a powerful motivator for intense focus.
Right. Creating a bit of positive pressure.
Yeah, it creates a sense of urgency that can help to minimize distractions. And as we touched on earlier, creating that dedicated deep work environment with consistent cues really helps train your brain for concentration.
Setting the stage.
But Aldrich also makes a really important point that perfect, unbroken concentration isn't the goal.
Oh, what is then?
It's the skill of refocusing that matters. What does she mean by that?
She emphasizes that our minds will inevitably wander. That's just what minds do.
Okay, so it's normal.
Totally normal.
Cow.
The key is to develop the ability to recognize when your attention is drifted and have strategies for gently bringing it back. She suggests having re-entry triggers.
Entry triggers, like what?
Like maybe a specific physical action, standing up and stretching quickly,
Hmm.
or a phrase you say to yourself like back to it, to help you get back on track after a distraction.
That's a much more realistic and less pressure-filled perspective than expecting to be in a state of perfect focus all the time.
Absolutely. Less intimidating.
And I really like Aldrich's suggestion to take a few minutes after a focus block to reflect.
Debrief yourself.
Yeah. Reflect on what worked well, what maybe didn't, what you might want to adjust for next time. It turns the whole process into a learning experience.
And celebrating the wins, however small.
Yes. Acknowledging those small successes can be really motivating, keep you going.
So we've talked a lot about techniques and productivity. But beyond just boosting output, what are some of the broader benefits of cultivating this ability to work deeply?
Well, Aldrich makes a compelling case that it leads to a real sense of satisfaction from mastering complex tasks, what she calls the satisfaction of cognitive craftsmanship.
Ooh, I like that phrase, cognitive craftsmanship.
Me too.
Yeah.
It also fosters genuine innovation and significantly improves your ability to solve complex problems, which, can have a significant impact on your career growth.
Right, moving beyond the routine tasks.
Exactly. She also points out that when leaders model deep work, it can actually shift the entire organizational culture to value depth over just being busy.
That's powerful. Leading by example.
Mm-hmm. And the blog post summarizing Newport highlights a more personal benefit, that engaging in deep work can lead to a greater sense of genuine happiness and fulfillment.
Which makes sense.
Yeah, something often missing in the more scattered and less impactful nature of shallow work. It's about creating work that truly feels meaningful.
Connecting with your work on a deeper level.
Exactly. So as you're listening to this, what are the key takeaways that are resonating with you? For me, it's the idea that focus isn't just something you either have or you don't.
Right, it's not fixed.
No, it's a skill you can actively develop. By understanding the difference between deep and shallow work, and by consciously implementing some of these practical strategies.
Like the time blocks, managing notifications.
Creating a focused environment, maybe practicing a bit of mindfulness, you really can enhance your ability to concentrate and achieve more meaningful results.
But it takes practice.
Oh, definitely. It's definitely a journey, and it's okay to stumble along the way. Consistency seems to be the key, though. Consistent effort.
That's a fantastic summary. And it leads us to a final thought for you to consider. Think about the focus architecture of your own day, your own work environment.
Focus architecture. I like that.
What's one small, intentional change you could make right now, maybe even today, to better protect your attention and cultivate a little more of that deep work?
Just one small thing to start.
Yeah. And how might prioritizing that deeper engagement over just being perpetually busy ultimately reshape not only what you accomplish, but also how you feel about your work?
It's a question worth sitting with, for sure.